Billionaire CEO freezes as black cleaner's genius daughter solves $1 billion problem in seconds. In the sterile corridors of cross-tech industries, billionaire CEO Alexander Cross faces corporate annihilation as his $1 billion quantum computing project collapses under the weight of an unsolvable algorithm. 18 months of elite programmers, unlimited resources, and cutting-edge technology have yielded nothing but failure, leaving his empire teetering on the edge of bankruptcy. While Alexander stares at screens filled with indecipherable code, 50 floors below, Maria Santos pushes her cleaning cart through the same building, invisible to the executives whose genius has proven inadequate to the task. But invisibility can be deceptive. In a cramped apartment across town, Maria's 16-year-old daughter Zoe has been quietly following her mother's stories about the company's struggles, her brilliant mind turning over problems that defeated the world's most expensive talent. When desperation finally forces Alexander to listen to his cleaning lady's impossible suggestion, he discovers that sometimes the most revolutionary solutions come from the most unexpected sources. Alexander Cross stands in his glass-walled office on the 47th floor, staring at spreadsheets that might as well be written in a foreign language for all the solutions they offer. His tech empire, Cross Tech Industries, is hemorrhaging money at a rate that would make lesser billionaires weep, but Alexander's face remains carved from stone. The quantum computing project that was supposed to revolutionize artificial intelligence has hit an insurmountable wall, a coding problem that his team of MIT and Stanford graduates can't crack despite 18 months of round-the-clock work. The board meeting is in 3 days, and Alexander knows that failure to deliver will cost him not just billions, but his reputation as the boy genius who built an empire before his 30th birthday. His reflection in the window shows a man who's forgotten how to sleep, how to eat, how to do anything except obsess over algorithms that refuse to behave. The irony isn't lost on him that the man who revolutionized human-computer interaction can't solve a problem that's slowly destroying everything he's built. In the building's basement, Maria Santos pushes her cleaning cart through the maze of server rooms and storage areas, her movements efficient and purposeful despite the late hour. At 52, she's worked as a night cleaner for Crosstech for nearly a decade, invisible to the executives who pass her in hallways without acknowledgement. Her calloused hands have scrubbed the floors where billion-dollar deals were signed, emptied the trash cans filled with discarded ideas that might have changed the world, and polished the windows through which powerful men stare at problems they can't solve. Maria's own genius lies in reading people. She sees the stress in Alexander's shoulders, the defeat in his posture, the way he stays later each night, as if proximity to the problem might somehow reveal its solution. She knows more about the inner workings of this company than most of the executives realize, having overheard countless late-night strategy sessions and witnessed the human cost of corporate pressure. Her silence isn't ignorance. It's survival in a world where people like her are seen as replaceable. What Maria hasn't told anyone at Crosstech is that she has a daughter who's been coding since she was 7 years old, a prodigy who sees patterns in data the way other children see shapes in clouds. Zoe Santos, now 16, has been quietly following her mother's stories about the company's struggles, her brilliant mind turning over problems that she understands better than the adults who created them. While her classmates worry about prom dates and college applications, Zoe spends her evenings in their small apartment, surrounded by outdated computers that Maria bought secondhand, writing code that dances between logic and intuition. She's never had access to the resources that Alexander's team takes for granted. No cutting-edge equipment, no research budgets, no prestigious degrees. But she has something they lack: the ability to see solutions from angles that privilege and conventional thinking can't access. Her mother's nightly recounts of corporate frustration have become Zoe's unofficial assignment, a puzzle she's been unconsciously solving while the paid experts remain stumped. The collision between these two worlds, the desperate billionaire and the brilliant daughter of his cleaning lady, is inevitable, but neither could predict how it will unfold. Alexander's empire depends on solving a problem that his wealth and resources can't crack, while in a cramped apartment across town. The solution exists in the mind of a teenager whose potential has been invisible to everyone except her mother. The next 48 hours will test everything both families believe about intelligence, worth, and the true meaning of value in a world where talent doesn't always come with the expected pedigree. As Maria finishes her cleaning rounds and heads home to her daughter, and Alexander stares at his screens in growing desperation, neither realizes that the answer to $1 billion problem is about to emerge from the most unlikely source, proving that genius doesn't require a corner office to change the world. Zoe Santos sits at her kitchen table, helping her mother count the day's tips while her laptop displays lines of code that would make Alexander's team weep with envy. At 16, she's already mastered programming languages that most computer science graduates struggle with, her mind naturally gravitating toward the elegant solutions that formal education sometimes obscures. She listens to her mother's stories about the frustrated executives, the late-night meetings, the sense of panic that permeates Crosstech's upper floors, and her fingers unconsciously trace algorithms in the air as if conducting an invisible orchestra. Maria doesn't fully understand her daughter's gift, but she recognizes the same focused intensity that drove her to work 3 jobs to keep Zoe in school, the same determination that refuses to accept limitation as destiny. The irony that her daughter might hold the key to solving problems that billionaires can't crack is lost on neither of them. They've lived long enough in the shadows of wealth to understand that intelligence doesn't correlate with opportunity, that the most brilliant minds often belong to those who can't afford to showcase their gifts. Tell me again about the quantum computing problem, Zoe asks, her voice carrying the quiet confidence of someone who's never doubted her own abilities despite a world that's consistently underestimated her potential. Maria describes what she's overheard: the frustrated conversations, the technical jargon, the sense that the entire company's future hangs on solving an algorithmic puzzle that has defeated the best minds money can hire. As her mother speaks, Zoe's mind begins processing the information in ways that her expensive education never taught her, approaching the problem from angles that privileged thinking can't access. She sees solutions in the spaces between conventional wisdom, in the patterns that emerge when you're not constrained by what you're supposed to know. Her laptop screen fills with code that flows like poetry, each line building on the last to create something that transcends mere programming. It's digital art painted by someone who understands that true innovation comes from seeing differently, not just thinking harder. The apartment around them tells the story of a family that's never had enough money, but has always had enough love to nurture extraordinary potential. Maria's cleaning uniforms hang beside Zoe's honor roll certificates. Secondhand computers sit next to textbooks bought with carefully saved tip money, and the walls are covered with programming certificates that Zoe earned through online courses during the hours when her wealthier peers were at dance classes or music lessons. Every surface bears evidence of a brilliant mind making do with limited resources, transforming obstacles into opportunities through pure intellectual force. Maria watches her daughter work, seeing not just the code on the screen, but the years of sacrifice and determination that created the person typing it. She remembers staying up nights to help Zoe with homework while working double shifts, choosing between buying groceries and paying for internet access, believing that education was the bridge between their current reality and a future where her daughter's gifts could flourish. As Zoe's fingers dance across the keyboard, she's not just solving a technical problem. She's channeling years of watching her mother be dismissed and undervalued, transforming that pain into purpose. Every line of code is a declaration that intelligence doesn't require an Ivy League pedigree, that innovation can emerge from kitchen tables as easily as corporate boardrooms, that the most profound solutions often come from those who've had to think creatively about survival. The algorithm taking shape on her screen represents more than a technical breakthrough. It's a testament to the power of seeing possibilities where others see only limitations. Maria recognizes the expression on her daughter's face, the same look she wore when she first started programming, when she realized that in the digital world, her ideas could compete with anyone's regardless of her background. The cleaning lady and her genius daughter are about to prove that true wealth lies not in what you own, but in what you can imagine and create. The security guard barely glances up when Maria badges into Crosstech at 11 p.m., her usual time for starting the night shift that keeps the corporate machine running while the executives sleep. Tonight feels different, though. Zoe's laptop bag is hidden under her cleaning supplies, and Maria's heart pounds with a mixture of fear and determination that she hasn't felt since the day she decided to immigrate to America with nothing but hope and a 6-year-old daughter. The elevator ride to the 47th floor seems to take forever, each ding of the floor indicator marking another step toward either vindication or disaster. Maria has spent years perfecting the art of invisibility, moving through corporate spaces without disrupting the important work of important people. But tonight, she's about to shatter that careful balance. The building's silence feels oppressive, broken only by the hum of computers that never sleep and the distant sound of a billionaire's desperation echoing through empty hallways. Alexander Cross hasn't left his office in 36 hours, surviving on coffee and stubborn pride as his team's latest attempt at solving the quantum computing problem crashes and burns spectacularly. His usually perfect appearance has deteriorated into something that would shock his board of directors: wrinkled shirt, stubble, eyes red with exhaustion and defeat. The smartest people his money could buy have failed him, and tomorrow's board meeting looms like a corporate execution. He barely notices when Maria enters his office to empty the trash, her presence so routine that she's become part of the furniture, another invisible service that keeps his world functioning. But tonight, Maria doesn't just empty his waste paper basket. She clears her throat softly, her voice cutting through his despair like a blade through silk. "Mr. Cross," she says, her accent thick with nervousness but her words clear with purpose. "I think my daughter might be able to help you." The request hangs in the air between them like a bridge spanning two different worlds, and Alexander's first instinct is to dismiss it as the desperate offer of a cleaning lady who doesn't understand the complexity of billion-dollar problems. But something in Maria's eyes stops him, a quiet confidence that speaks of knowledge beyond her station, of having observed more than she's ever been asked to share. Against his better judgment, against every instinct that tells him not to waste time on impossible solutions, Alexander finds himself nodding. "Bring her up," he says, his voice hoarse with exhaustion and something that might be hope. Maria's hands shake as she calls Zoe, who's been waiting in the parking garage with her laptop, her own heart pounding with the knowledge that the next few minutes will either prove her mother's faith in her abilities or confirm the world's assumption that people like them don't belong in spaces like this. When Zoe enters the office, the contrast between her and Alexander's usual associates is stark and immediate. She's wearing her mother's too large sweater over jeans that have seen better days, her laptop bag patched with duct tape, her sneakers scuffed from walking instead of riding in private cars. But her eyes burn with an intelligence that commands attention, and her posture carries the quiet confidence of someone who's never doubted her own capabilities despite a world that's consistently underestimated her potential. Alexander finds himself studying her face, trying to reconcile the setting with the possibility that this teenager might possess something his team of elite graduates lacks. The moment stretches between them, heavy with the weight of assumptions being challenged and barriers being crossed, while Maria stands beside her daughter like a guardian angel who's finally found the courage to reveal the miracle she's been protecting all these years. Zoe approaches Alexander's wall of monitors with the same careful respect she'd show a museum exhibit, her eyes quickly scanning the lines of code that represent months of futile effort by some of the world's most expensive minds. Her fingers hover over the keyboard as she absorbs information at a speed that makes Alexander's head spin, her mind processing complex algorithms like a native speaker reading poetry. Within minutes, she's identified the fundamental flaw that has stymied his team, not a coding error, but a conceptual blind spot that expensive education somehow created rather than prevented. "You're trying to force quantum states into classical logic frameworks," she says quietly, her voice carrying the authority of absolute certainty. The problem isn't the algorithm. It's the assumption that quantum computing should think like traditional computing, only faster. Her words hit Alexander like a physical blow, not because they're harsh, but because they're undeniably true and impossibly simple. As Zoe begins typing, her code flowing across the screen like water finding its natural path, Alexander realizes he's witnessing something unprecedented in his corporate experience. This isn't the careful, methodical programming of his trained professionals. This is pure intuition made manifest, intelligence unencumbered by the constraints of conventional thinking. Her approach to the problem is so fundamentally different from his team's that it seems almost alien. Yet every line of code builds logically on the last, creating a solution that's both elegant and revolutionary. Maria watches her daughter work, seeing not just the technical brilliance but the years of struggle and determination that shaped this moment. Every evening spent teaching herself programming while her mother worked late shifts, every rejection from programs that couldn't see past her economic background, every moment of doubt that she conquered through sheer force of will. All of it culminates in this impossible scene of a teenager revolutionizing quantum computing while her mother empties trash cans. The breakthrough comes not with fanfare, but with the quiet click of a final keystroke, followed by the soft hum of computers suddenly finding harmony in quantum chaos. Alexander stares at the screen, his expression shifting from skepticism to amazement to something approaching awe as he realizes that the problem that consumed his empire's resources and nearly destroyed his reputation has been solved by a 16-year-old girl in less than an hour. The solution isn't just functional. It's beautiful, elegant in its simplicity, and profound in its implications for the future of artificial intelligence. Zoe steps back from the keyboard, her work complete, and for the first time in months, Alexander's office falls silent except for the gentle whir of servers processing the most valuable code ever written in this building. The billionaire who built his fortune on recognizing revolutionary ideas finds himself face-to-face with genius in its purest form, unpackaged and unpedigreed, but undeniably real. "How did you?" Alexander begins, then stops, realizing that the question reveals more about his own limitations than hers. Zoe's solution didn't emerge from expensive training or privileged access to resources. It came from a mind that sees patterns where others see chaos, that finds connections where conventional thinking sees only problems. She learned to code not in Silicon Valley's tech temples, but at a kitchen table, not from venture capitalists, but from a mother who believed that intelligence could transcend circumstances. The algorithm on his screen represents more than a technical breakthrough. It's a testament to the power of untapped human potential, a reminder that the most valuable innovations often come from the most unexpected sources. As the implications of what just happened begin to sink in, Alexander realizes that he's not just looking at a solution to his company's problems. He's looking at the future of innovation itself, embodied in a teenager whose genius was invisible to everyone except her mother. The board meeting that Alexander had dreaded becomes a triumph that reshapes not just Crosstech's future, but the entire tech industry's understanding of where innovation originates. As he presents Zoe's solution to the stunned executives, their faces cycle through disbelief, amazement, and the uncomfortable recognition that a cleaning lady's daughter has accomplished what their multi-million-dollar teams couldn't. The quantum computing breakthrough doesn't just solve Crosstech's immediate crisis. It opens possibilities that will revolutionize artificial intelligence, making the company's valuation soar beyond Alexander's wildest projections. But as he watches the board's reaction, Alexander realizes that the real transformation isn't in the stock price or the technological implications. It's in his own understanding of what constitutes true value. The teenage girl who saved his empire forces him to confront how many other brilliant minds might be invisible to him, hidden behind economic circumstances or social assumptions that privilege mistakes for intelligence. Within hours of the board meeting, news of Zoe's breakthrough spreads through Silicon Valley like wildfire, creating a media frenzy that transforms an unknown teenager into a symbol of untapped potential. Tech blogs and financial news outlets struggle to process the story. A billionaire's empire saved by a cleaning lady's daughter challenges every assumption about where genius lives and how it should be cultivated. Zoe handles the attention with the same quiet confidence she brought to solving the quantum computing problem, her focus remaining on the work rather than the recognition. She grants interviews not to celebrate her individual achievement, but to highlight the countless other brilliant minds that remain invisible due to economic inequality and educational barriers. Her mother Maria becomes an unlikely spokesperson for the working-class families who support Silicon Valley's success while remaining excluded from its prosperity, her dignity and intelligence forcing wealthy executives to confront their own blind spots about human worth. The financial windfall that comes with solving a billion-dollar problem creates opportunities that the Santos family never imagined possible, but they approach their new circumstances with the same values that shaped Zoe's character. Instead of simply enjoying their wealth, they establish a foundation focused on identifying and nurturing technical talent in overlooked communities, creating pathways for other brilliant minds to access opportunities that Zoe had to fight for. Alexander finds himself not just Zoe's employer, but her partner in reimagining how innovation happens, his resources combined with her vision to create programs that seek genius in unexpected places. The partnership between the billionaire CEO and the teenage prodigy becomes a model for how privilege and talent can work together to expand rather than hoard opportunities, proving that true leadership means recognizing and elevating others rather than simply accumulating power. As Crosstech's quantum computing division grows into an industry-leading force, Zoe's influence extends far beyond her technical contributions. She becomes a bridge between the corporate world and the communities it often overlooks, her voice carrying the authority of someone who's lived in both worlds and understands their potential for connection. Her success doesn't just validate her individual brilliance. It proves that innovation flourishes when intelligence is recognized regardless of its packaging, when economic circumstances don't determine intellectual opportunity, when the definition of valuable human capital expands beyond traditional markers of privilege. The cleaning lady's daughter who solved a billion-dollar problem becomes a symbol of transformation, showing that the future of technology depends not on concentrating resources among the already privileged, but on discovering and nurturing the genius that exists in every community, waiting for someone wise enough to recognize its potential. 2 years after that pivotal night in Alexander's office, Crosstech has transformed from a struggling company into a global leader in quantum artificial intelligence, its success built on the foundation of Zoe's revolutionary approach to computing. The shy teenager who once coded at her kitchen table now leads a diverse team of programmers, many of whom come from backgrounds similar to hers. Brilliant minds discovered through the company's innovative talent scouting programs that look beyond traditional qualifications to find authentic capability. Her corner office on the 48th floor, one level above Alexander's, is filled with awards and recognition, but also with photos of her mother and reminders of the apartment where her journey began. The walls display both her numerous patents and her programming certificates earned through online courses, a visual reminder that excellence can emerge from any starting point when nurtured with determination and opportunity. Zoe's leadership style reflects her origins. She sees potential where others see problems, creates opportunities where others see obstacles, and never forgets that the most valuable innovations often come from the most unexpected sources. Maria Santos no longer works as a night cleaner, but her transformation goes deeper than simply changing jobs. She's become Crosstech's Director of Community Outreach. Her intimate understanding of working-class struggles combined with her newfound platform to create programs that bridge the gap between corporate success and community development. Her office is filled with thank you letters from families whose children have benefited from the educational programs she's designed, proof that upward mobility doesn't require abandoning the values and communities that shaped you. The cleaning lady who once emptied trash cans now sits in board meetings, her voice carrying the authority of someone who's lived in both worlds and understands how to connect them. Her presence in Crosstech's executive suite sends a powerful message about the company's commitment to recognizing worth in all its forms, proving that transformation is possible when institutions are willing to expand their definition of valuable human capital. The quantum computing breakthrough that saved Alexander's company has rippled through the tech industry, inspiring other corporations to reconsider their talent acquisition strategies and invest in discovering genius in overlooked communities. Universities have established scholarship programs specifically for students from backgrounds like Zoe's. Tech companies have created internship programs that prioritize potential over pedigree, and venture capitalists have begun funding startups led by entrepreneurs from traditionally excluded demographics. The change isn't just charitable, it's profitable, as diverse perspectives and unconventional thinking prove essential for solving complex problems that homogeneous teams couldn't crack. Alexander often reflects on how close he came to failure, not because he lacked resources or intelligence, but because he'd surrounded himself with people who all thought the same way, creating blind spots that nearly destroyed his empire. As Alexander walks through Crosstech's offices, he sees the physical manifestation of transformation. Brilliant minds from every background working together to push the boundaries of what's possible. Their diverse perspectives creating innovations that no single worldview could have achieved. The company's success has become a model for how American capitalism can evolve to recognize and reward talent regardless of its origins, proving that true competitive advantage comes from accessing the full spectrum of human potential rather than concentrating resources among the already privileged. The night when a cleaning lady's daughter solved $1 billion problem has become corporate legend, not just for its immediate impact, but for its lasting lesson about the genius that exists in every community, waiting for someone wise enough to recognize its potential. The future of innovation, they've learned, depends not on perfecting exclusion, but on perfecting inclusion, creating systems that discover and nurture brilliance wherever it might emerge. True genius doesn't require a corner office or an Ivy League degree. It requires the courage to see differently and the opportunity to prove it. Zoe's algorithm didn't just solve a billion-dollar problem. It solved the billion-dollar assumption that intelligence has a price tag. Innovation flourishes when we recognize that the most valuable minds often belong to those who've been invisible to privilege. What extraordinary potential might you be overlooking because it doesn't come in the package you expected?